I'm space. I'm the stars, the sun, the moon, all the galaxies, all the directions, above and below. I'm silence. I'm sounds. I am the universe. I am light. I'm darkness. I'm the dust, the wind, the fire in all this world. I'm the fragrance in flowers, the light and radiance, and even in that light, I am the experience. I'm the very essence in all things in the universe. I am present and aware. How can there be anything but me, a spirit? You will rise beyond joy, worry, and sorrow. The world exists in me, the self, the infinite consciousness, just as light is not seen except through the refracting agent, just as when many candles are kindled from one another, it is the same flame that burns in all candles. When one contemplates the unreality of this disconnection from the one consciousness, they are freed from all sorrows and worries, for everything is forever in space. Where can the self go when all that is within it? If a glass is taken from one place to another, the space within it does not move from one place to another. This infinite consciousness is revealed through these various bodies. It is essentially formless, but forms are associated to its reflection. Whatever other beings exist in this universe, I am the consciousness that exists in all that exists, free from conceptualization, just as liquidity exists in water. When we are established in being, in awareness, the mind, body, and senses are only playthings. Total fulfillment of all desires, the absence of cravings, friendliness to all, truthfulness, purity, wisdom, tranquility, blissfulness, sweetness of speech, compassion, one-pointedness, fearlessness, not divided consciousness. These are the constant experiences of one who is established in being. The notion that I am this or that is our limitation and bondage here. When we turn away from doing for our own recognition in this world, we are liberated. The universe is but a long dream. The sole reality is the infinite consciousness, which is you, omnipresent. The self does not go, nor does it come, for space and time is boundless in consciousness alone. When the mind ceases its agitation, all the good and noble qualities blossom in you. There is peace and purity in heart. We do not fall into doubt or error. There is friendship which promotes inner joy. Worries and anxieties vanish. When the darkness of ignorance is dispelled, the inner light shines brightly. Mental distractions and distress cease, just as the ocean becomes calm when the wind ceases to agitate its surface. Infinite consciousness alone exists. The one infinite light of consciousness exists as the sole reality, which is you. Whatever is in your mind is like a city in the clouds. The emergence of this material world is no more than thoughts manifesting themselves. For thoughts are powerful things. Thoughts are real forces. Be steadily rooted in the non-existence of your ego self. It is the root of your suffering. It came into being through ignorance and delusion. When we lose this false identity, we will realize our true essence, that we are infinite consciousness, and we will be freed from all conditioning, bondage, and all limitations. When one sees the truth, who sees? He is not separate from this infinite consciousness, which dwells in all beings, which is essentially omnipresent. If the mind is elsewhere, the taste of food that is being eaten is not experienced. If the mind is elsewhere, we do not see what is right in front of us. Whatever happens to the body does not affect the mind. The mind is even unaffected by the good and bad intentions of another. Even as the firmly established mountain is not moved by the horns of a little beast, the body does not create the mind, but the mind creates the body. The mind is also the seed for the body. When the tree dies, the seed does not, but when the seed perishes, the tree dies with it. If the body perishes, the mind can create other bodies for itself. When we are bounded by the ego sense, me, and by the conditioning of our mind, the reactions in our mind, the delusions in our mind, when we are bound by the ego sense, me, and by the conditioning of the mind, even if we are regarded as a great intellectual person, we can be defeated even by a child. The unreal has no existence, and the real does not cease to exist. Individualized consciousness itself is known as the soul, where the potentialities are in an extremely subtle state. And when this wobbly unrest and resistance of the soul ceases its agitation, that itself is the divine or supreme being. The one infinite consciousness shines in all names and forms. The individualized consciousness perceives what it thinks it perceives on account of its conditioning, its reactions, its delusions. When the notion of I arises, at that very moment, the delusion of a beginning, middle, and end also arise. Millions of universes appear in the infinite consciousness, like specks of dust in a beam of light streaming into a room through a hole in the roof. The inexorable passage of invisible and intangible time eats up all the world's creatures. Knowing this, the wise keep their attention on the timeless. You are at peace when you are established in witness consciousness. The mind only knows its own point of view, which it considers the truth. I am the infinite consciousness, whose kinetic state alone appears as the whole universe. The ignorant man's body is composed and decomposed on account of the status of his mental conditioning. In the case of one with no such conditioning, there is no momentum for decomposition. All cravings and anxieties vanish. In everyone's consciousness, there is a different idea of the world. If you do not have the notion, this I am and this I am not, then you will not limit your consciousness. If your ego self is dead, you will not limit your consciousness. If the very notion of calamity, poverty, pride, dullness, envy, jealousy, and agitation does not arise, then your ego self is dead. Then you will be liberated while living. Utter purity will prevail in you because you will be liberated, whose ego mind is dead. Such a mind of liberation is full of noble qualities, intense friendliness, love, compassion, friendliness to all, will alone remain in you. What is the truth has nothing to do with sorrow and worries, the delusion of grasping, of clinging. I am at peace, free from sorrow. I am divine consciousness, such is the truth. I am free from all defects. I am pure. I am consciousness. I am space. I am the moon, the stars, the sun, and all the galaxies of all things. I am a blade of grass. I am a leaf. I am the air, the fire, the wind, the earth. I am the forest. I am the ocean. I am the mountains. I am the non-dual consciousness. Such is the truth. I am the consciousness in which all things are strong, through whose power all things engage in their actions. I am the essence of all things, in the infinite consciousness in every atom. Infinite universes come and go, like particles of dust in a beam of sunlight that shines through a hole in the roof. These come and go, like ripples on the vast ocean of consciousness. This lifetime of ours is like transient autumn clouds. Renounce all notions, and then renounce the renouncer of those notions. When the notion of the ego censor ceases, you will be like infinite space, free, unbounded, eternal, infinite. As long as there is a you, there is no liberation. Even as movement is inherent in air, manifestations is inherent in consciousness. Whatever the mind thinks of, that alone it sees and creates and believes. We who know the deathless nature of the self are not afraid of death. This egotism does not exist any more than water exists in a mirage. But now I'm free, I'm grounded in being, I'm grounded in the infinite consciousness, and I can see lifetimes ripple by like waves in a vast ocean of consciousness. I'm infinite.